This is an Impact Story interview. My name is Jeannie Daniel, and I work for the Yale Alumni Association. I'd like to welcome Billie Tsien, class of 1971. Welcome, Billie.
Thank you.
So, Billie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up at Yale?
So I was in the first class, actually, of women to graduate from Yale. And so that meant that I had gone to Pembroke, which was the women's section of Brown for 2 years. And when the idea of possibly going to Yale opened up, it seemed like a great adventure because it was a very obviously uncharted land. And what impressed me was the unchartedness of it. In a certain way, Pembroke felt at that time very, in a way, sort of prescriptive. You know, you were sort of going down a path, and because at Yale, you didn't know what the path was. There wasn't even a path, so you just kind of got plopped down there. And I liked the idea of that adventure. I was ready for that.
Wow, that is amazing. What kind of an impact has Yale had on your life?
You know, it's the first impact, I think, was the realization, you know, as a first generation suburban young Chinese woman, was being confronted actually with a clear expression of power, but power that is withheld. A kind of not open expression of power, but the fact that I would look around and at the richest sort of school, one of the richest schools in the country, the carpets were sort of threadbare. And people were wearing, you know, clothes that were kind of torn and holey. And I thought, this is so strange. Why are these people looking like this? And why are things sort of looking kind of run down? And it was a very interesting lesson in the ability to have power, but also sort of keep it somewhat hidden. And in a very strange way, I mean, you know, at first I found that incredibly off-putting, but it's also an introduction to the language of how things move in this other world. But in a weird way, it influenced me in the way I think about architecture. And it also has a connection, I think, to my Chinese heritage. You know, people are always saying, you know, it's sort of impassive. You're not showing what you're feeling. But this idea of a kind of architecture that in a certain way has a restraint, but also not only protects what's inside, but also gives a kind of surprise or a release when you find out what's inside. So I think that's a kind of interesting way, a roundabout way, that my first 2 years, it was really only 2 years at Yale, influenced me.
I really like how you put that. So we're working on this impact series, which is focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And I know that's something that you care about as well. How is your work having an impact on the world today?
Well, one of the things that we try to do in our practice, and I work with my husband, Todd Williams. So I laugh because when we have our anniversaries, I always say it's twice whatever the number is because we're together all day and all night. So that's at least twice, if not 3 times. So we're very, over the years, we've really focused our work on for nonprofits. So educational institutions, museums, cultural institutions, and public space. And that's what we really care about because those are the kinds of places that both hold a culture, help the culture to change, and welcome people to come in. Right now, we are soon going to have a groundbreaking on the Obama Presidential Center, which for us is a kind of, it's a project of a lifetime.
It really is.
And what we try to do is, and you know, it's taken many years, but what we try to do is work for people whose values we respect. And if you do that, then you can work really, really hard. And you can work for not so much money because you are driving towards a kind of common goal. And so I think that this desire to make architecture in service of a larger people is what is the focus of our work. And service rather than an expression of ego or the next bright thing or making an object that somebody can put their name on is to us less important than this idea of service for a greater community.
That is wonderful. And I'm so excited that the Obama Presidential Center is going to break ground this year. It is an amazing project. It has so many pieces that are really going to bring Chicago together. You did a wonderful job in putting together a beautiful design. I really love how you talk about how architecture is an act of service, and it just is a beautiful story that you have put together over the years with your career. So Billie, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
My pleasure.